1. Introduction to the inverse process. So, looking at this first slide, the very first point states, in your study of calculus, you have already mastered the process of differentiation. That's right. You've spent time learning how to find derivatives, and now we're going to look at how to essentially reverse that process. The next line clarifies what differentiation actually does. It says, differentiation is the mathematical tool used to find the rate of change of a function. Think of it like this. If you have a function describing something that's changing, differentiation helps you pinpoint how quickly it's changing at any given point. Let's look at an example. The slide says, for instance, if you have a function f of x, differentiation allows you to find its derivative, denoted as f prime of x or df of x over dx. Now, let's break down that notation. F of x simply represents a function with x as the input. F prime of x. We read that as f prime of x is the standard notation for the derivative of the function f of x, and f of x over dx is another way to write the same derivative, emphasizing that we're looking at the change in f of x with respect to a tiny change in x. Now here's where things get interesting. The slide introduces integration. It states, integration at its most fundamental level is the exact opposite. It is the inverse process of differentiation. Just like addition and subtraction are inverse operations, or multiplication and division, differentiation and integration are inverses of each other. Finally, the slide explains the core idea. While differentiation breaks a function down to find its slope or rate of change, integration seeks to undo that process to recover the original function. So, if differentiation takes you from a function to its rate of change, integration takes you from the rate of change back to the original function. Okay, let's begin with our exploration of anti-differentiation. As we move forward, remember that we're building on everything you've already learned in calculus. In the upcoming slides, we'll be diving deeper into what this undoing process actually looks like, and we'll introduce the terminology used to describe the result of integration, the antiderivative or primitive. But for now, it's important to grasp this fundamental concept. Integration is simply the reverse of differentiation. 2. Defining the antiderivative. As we discussed on the previous slide, integration is essentially the inverse of differentiation. Now, when we do that reversing, when we undo the differentiation, the function we end up with has a special name. It's known by two terms, and they essentially mean the same thing. The first term is the antiderivative. Think of it this way. An antiderivative is a function that, when you differentiate it, gives you back the original function you started with. The second term is the primitive. This just refers to the original function, the one in its initial form before any differentiation took place. It's like finding the root or the source of a function. Let's make this really clear with a formal statement. If we have a function, let's call it f of x, that's f parenthesis x, and we differentiate it, meaning we find its derivative, and that derivative is equal to another function, let's call that f of x, f parenthesis x. Then, f of x is the antiderivative, or the primitive, of f of x. Now, let's express this mathematically. We can write it as, if the derivative of f of x with respect to x is equal to f of x, then f of x is the antiderivative of f of x. You'll see this written as a mathematical equation. d by dx of x equals f of x, which we read as the derivative of the function f of x with respect to x is equal to f of x. Then f of x is the antiderivative of f of x. Okay, so let's move on to slide 2, where we formally define what we get when we reverse the process of differentiation. Keep this relationship in mind, because it's the core of understanding anti-differentiation. We'll build on this in the next slide with a real-world example to help solidify the concept, and then we'll work through some specific examples to show you how to actually find these antiderivatives. 3. Real-world analogy, motion in physics. Okay, let's move on to slide 3. This slide aims to solidify your understanding of anti-differentiation by drawing a parallel to a real-world scenario, motion in physics. Remember, we've just established that integration, or finding the antiderivative, is the reverse of differentiation. So, consider an object moving. A practical way to grasp this inverse relationship is by thinking about its position and velocity. The slide first presents what we call the forward process, which corresponds to differentiation. If you know the position of an object at any given time, t, you can find its velocity by differentiating the position function. Think of it this way: velocity is simply the rate of /m change of position. So we can represent this as position through the process of differentiation gives us velocity. Now let's look at the inverse process, which is where integration or anti-differentiation comes in. What if you only know the velocity of an object? Can you figure out where it is? Absolutely. You can integrate the velocity function to recover the original position function. Essentially, you're undoing the differentiation to get back to the starting point. We can represent this as velocity through the process of integration gives us position. This analogy is crucial because it helps visualize the core concept. Just like knowing the velocity allows you to determine the position, knowing a derivative allows you to determine the original function. We'll build on this understanding in the next slide with a specific example, so make sure you have a firm grasp of this physics connection. For illustrative example, step by step. Okay, let's solidify our understanding of anti-differentiation with a concrete example. As we discussed in the previous slides, finding an antiderivative is like reversing the process of differentiation. So, on this slide, we're going to examine how to identify an antiderivative using a trigonometric function. Here's the scenario. We are given the function f of x, which is equal to cosine of x, and our task is to find its antiderivative. Remember, the antiderivative is the function that, when differentiated, gives us back our original function. Now, let's move on to step 1, recall known derivatives. This is where your prior knowledge of differentiation comes into play. You need to be comfortable with the standard derivatives. In this case, we need to remember what the derivative of sine x plus c is. Here it is. The derivative with respect to x of sine x plus c is equal to cosine x. Remember that c represents the constant of integration, which we'll discuss in more detail later. But for now, just know it's always there when we're dealing with antiderivatives. Now for step 2, apply the logic of the inverse process. This is the crucial step where we connect differentiation and antidifferentiation. Since we know that the derivative of sine x plus c results in cosine x, it logically follows that the process of undoing the derivative of cosine x must lead us back to sine x plus c. Think of it like this. Differentiation takes you from the original function to its derivative, and antidifferentiation takes you back. Finally, step 3, conclusion. Therefore, sine x plus c is an antiderivative, or a primitive, as we discussed, of cosine x. We've successfully found a function whose derivative is cosine x. This example demonstrates the core idea. If you know the derivative, you can work backwards to find the original function, keeping in mind the constant of integration. We'll explore why that constant is so important in the next section. But for now, you've seen a clear example of how to find an antiderivative. 5 key takeaways. Okay, let's recap the key ideas we've covered so far and solidify our understanding of antidifferentiation. This slide, slide number 5, summarizes the most important takeaways. First point, inverse nature. It states that integration is the reverse operation of differentiation. Remember, we started by establishing that differentiation finds the rate of change, or the slope, of a function. Integration, as we've seen, does the opposite. It tries to find the original function from its rate of change. Think of it like building and dismantling something. Integration is like rebuilding, while differentiation is like taking it apart. Next, terminology. The original function we recover through integration is given 2 names, the antiderivative or the primitive. These terms are interchangeable, so don't be confused if you see either one used. Essentially, it's the function that, when you differentiate it, gives you back the function you started with. Finally, and this is the core logic, it's expressed mathematically as follows. If the derivative of function a with respect to x equals function b, then the integral of function b is function a plus c. Let me break that down. The phrase, the derivative of function a, with respect to x, means we're finding the rate of change of function a if that rate of change is function b. Then integrating function b, that is, finding its antiderivative, will give us function a, but with a crucial addition. Plus c will delve into what c represents in the next section. But for now, just remember that it's an important constant term that always appears when we find an antiderivative. So, to reiterate, this slide provides a concise summary of the fundamental concepts we've explored. Keep these points in mind as we move forward, because they'll be essential for tackling more complex integration problems. 6. Common mistakes to avoid. Okay, let's move on to the final slide, where we discuss some common pitfalls students encounter when first learning about anti-differentiation. This is really important, as being aware of these mistakes now will save you a lot of frustration later on. Firstly, it's very common for beginners to confuse the direction of these two processes, differentiation and integration. Think of it this way. Differentiation is like taking a function and finding its slope or rate of change. We find the derivative. Integration, on the other hand, is about recovering the original function from its rate of change. So, integration finds the original function, also known as the antiderivative or primitive. It's crucial to keep this direction clear in your mind. Next, let's talk about assuming a single answer. We saw in the example with cosine x that sine x is an antiderivative, but it's not the only one. This might seem strange at first, but remember that the derivative of a constant is always 0. This means we can add any constant to our antiderivative and it will still be correct. We'll delve much deeper into this idea of the constant of integration in the next section, so don't worry too much about the why right now. Just remember that there's usually not just one correct answer. Finally, let's address notation confusion. It's easy to mix up the symbols. The symbol for the derivative, which looks like d over dx, represents the act of finding the slope. It asks, what is the derivative with respect to x? The integral symbol, which looks like a stretched out s, represents the act of finding the area under a curve, or, in our context, finding the antiderivative or primitive. So, while both involve mathematical operations, they are fundamentally different, and their symbols should not be confused. So, keep these 3 points in mind as you continue practicing, and you'll be well on your way to mastering the concept of anti-differentiation.